New York's Metropolitan Transportation Authority has been knocked down before. The Great Depression, 9/11, Superstorm Sandy. But its current leader says nothing matches the current pandemic by orders of magnitude.
In the Great Depression, subway ridership at the worst was down 13% after the stock market crash. In 1933 was that stat. In the worst days of the pandemic in March and April, subway ridership down 95%. Right now, it's 30% of pre-pandemic levels.
We met MTA Chairman Patrick Foy inside the authority's vast Corona maintenance facility.
500 cars in this?
500 cars, 200 employees.
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
This place is not titled after the virus. That's always been the name because it's in Corona, Queens. Another bizarre part of 2020. But not as cruel, Foy says, as what's happening to millions of people dependent on public transportation across the country. New York sits at the top of that food chain. And Foy says unless his organization receives $12 billion in federal help over the next several years, massive cuts in jobs and service will take place.
Why should people from Nebraska and Iowa fund the New York City subway system?
One answer to that question is you mentioned Nebraska, so let's start there. A company called Kawasaki builds lots of the subway cars in this barn. Kawasaki's equipment, subway cars, are built in Japan and in Omaha, Nebraska. We have production of products in Georgia, Iowa, Florida, Texas, obviously New York State. But the MTA, our capital plan is $51 billion. It's now on pause. It touches literally every state in the nation, including Nebraska.
Stand clear of the closing doors, please.
In just the New York area, one study estimated 450,000 non-transit jobs are dependent on public transportation services. Foy, a first-generation American born to Irish immigrants who grew up just 6 subway stops from this building, was appointed by fellow Queens native Democratic Governor Andrew Cuomo to lead the MTA in April 2019.
Should people feel safe riding public transport right now?
The answer is absolutely. The research around the world, in the United States and abroad, is that public transit, as ridership has increased, has not been a vector of the virus.
To get more people on board, the MTA is pioneering new ways to keep people safe, both now and post-pandemic. That includes ultraviolet lights, electrostatic sprayers, antimicrobial biostats that create a protective layer on surfaces, and new kinds of air filters.
When this is all over with,
Yep.
How do you convince people to get on public transport again who have not been on in months?
Well, look, New York, after the 1918 flu pandemic, New York recovered. The United States experienced the roaring 20s. I think there's going to be bent-up demand. Offices will open. Broadway will come back. The New York Mets, which are right across the road, are going to have a terrific season. People are going to want to go see them.
Some people might disagree with that last projection.
I understand.
But we do wish you luck.
Absolutely.